Alright guys, it's time. We have the Oculus Quest here that we're going to be taking a look at today. And everyone's been talking about this device. It is a completely wireless device now. No cables, no nothing. And it's completely 6 degrees of freedom with the controllers. And it's a device that everyone's been talking about we needed for VR. But did they do a solid job? And is this the VR future? Let's go ahead and talk about it.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a recce is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so here we are with the Oculus Quest review. I have the Oculus Quest 128GB model here in front of me, along with the 2 controllers. And let me start off this video by saying this is an outstanding device. I'm so happy with this thing. And there's a lot of reasons why we're going to try and run through this and go through everything. But guys, this is probably what VR has been waiting for. Everyone's been waiting for wireless to be a thing that you can just easily take to people's houses and have 6 degrees of freedom where their controllers are actually tracked. Unlike the Oculus Go that came before this, where the screen was really good and all that stuff. But you couldn't really play games on it because it was a 3-dimensional controller, so you only had the mouse, the actual pointer. Your hands weren't tracked in virtual space or anything like that. This one is, and it's basically a game changer for VR, that now a product like this exists that's wireless, and you can actually take it to your friend's house, they can actually see their hands, get presence in the virtual world, and play Rift-like experiences on the Oculus Quest, which is insane, and we're going to talk all about this in this review. So, let's go ahead and get this thing started. On the Oculus Quest, let's go ahead and talk about comfort first. This was obviously designed specifically by Oculus. Unlike the Rift S that was in partnership with Lenovo, this one was designed completely by them, and therefore this strap is very different. Very similar to their other products, where on the Rift they also had these little straps on the side. So you basically, it's like a baseball cap thing. You take the top off. You take the top. You pull it a little bit. You put it on your head like this. You kind of have to make sure, something that a lot of people don't know, on the back of your head, if you touch it, there's like a little indentation back there, basically, where your head actually stands, and you have to put this there. So when you put it on your head, you put this there, and then that's when you tighten the top strap, once it's in that position. And then you go ahead and tighten the sides. So that is something that a lot of people don't know. To get maximum comfort out of it, that's the way you actually have to put it on. When it's actually situated in your head like that, it's not bad. The comfort, it's a little bit front heavy, of course, as far as being heavy and things like that. But in my experience, I've played with this for over an hour, and I haven't really had any issues. You do notice the weight a little bit because everything's obviously a little bit on the front, so it's not as evenly distributed as the Oculus Rift and the Rift S are. But for everything this thing is capable of doing, I'll take those trade-offs if everything has to be up front. I still think it's pretty decently comfortable, even though it's not the most comfortable headset out there in the world, of course. And it's very easy to put on and off with the baseball cap. Like I said, you put it on people, you tighten the 2 straps, and you're kind of done. So as far as that goes, it's pretty easy to go around that. Of course, with this thing, there's obviously no sensors or anything like that, so this is obviously completely portable. So with this headset now, it's got the 4 cameras here on the front. It's got the same inside-out tracking that the Rift S now has on the PC side, although this one has 4 cameras on the corners here, as opposed to the 5 sensor setup that is in our Rift S review, which is also posted. You guys can go ahead and watch that now. So this is using the 4 sensors in the front. And let's talk about tracking here for a minute. The tracking on here is outstanding. It's so good. I haven't had really any issues. I play Beat Saber and all that stuff. I'm on hard. I'm not really on expert level yet. I'm on the hard difficulty for that. And it's tracked everything with no issues. It's not like people have complained. Well, all the people that I showed my family and a bunch of friends over the weekend, Memorial Weekend. It's not like the controller lost tracking and everyone was like, "Hey, where'd my hands go?" kind of thing. I can't see them, all that kind of thing. None of that has happened. All the games that I've played have held up really, really well. And, the tracking is just so good. Nothing that I actually realized how good it would actually be until I got my hands on this thing. And I actually took this Quest outside. Keep in mind, this Quest, it does need some light for the tracking to actually work. You do need some light. It can't be pitch dark in your house or anything like that. It won't actually track anything, so you can't go outside in pitch dark and see there. But when the sun is down, don't bring it outside with the sun's out, because you're going to ruin the lens immediately within seconds if you bring it out with the sun. But if you go down there, for the hour and a half that some people have to go out there, Sports Scramble, I tried the tennis mode on there, and it puts the full tennis court at scale, so you literally have to run up and down the court. Is a game changer of an experience to have that much space outside and be able to play tennis and run up and down the tennis court. Is a really cool experience. Something everybody should try at least once. Just be careful with with what I just said earlier. But that was a really cool experience, and it tracked 100% perfect outside too with the little light. You just need a little bit of light. Just like I said, it can't be pitch darkness, but a little bit of light in the back when the sun is down. Still worked perfectly well for my controllers when I was trying tennis, and it was a lot of fun. So as far as tracking goes, really, really solid. They did a fantastic job with it. Moving on to the actual screen itself, the SDE, the resolution on this display is 2880. I forget, it's 2880 by 1440, I believe, is what it is. And it's definitely a step up from the Oculus Rift, the Oculus Rift S on the computer. That one being 2560. This one is a bump up in resolution from that to this. And it's really similar to what the Oculus Go as far as the resolution and stuff like that. So the God rays are really reduced compared to the original Rift, but really similar to the Oculus Go. Same thing with the SDE and all that stuff. And this is using an OLED panel, unlike the Rift S over there that's using LCD. This is using the OLED. So the blocks are really good. The colors pop, all that kind of stuff that you get with the advantages of OLED are obviously in here as well. But the screens on this thing and the Rift S are really, really similar to me. As far as like putting them both on, I don't randomly go into one and be like, oh my god, this looks terrible now. Or anything vice versa or anything like that. They're both really close to each other. Even though the SDE and the God rays and all that stuff has been reduced, the FOV is all really similar to the Rift S and the new one. Now, the original Rift, yes, this is a substantial difference in resolution to the original Rift, and you'll notice it immediately. You'll notice the reduced God rays and all that stuff. But on the Oculus Go, they're really similar. It's really similar. I don't know if I would say one is better than the other as far as the screen. Maybe this one gets a slight lead. As far as resolution and all that stuff is maybe looks a little bit nicer, but they're really close to each other if you've used the Oculus Go before, and that was a fantastic screen, so there's no complaints as far as that goes. Of course, we also have the controllers that are sitting here. These are the same controllers that the Rift S now uses, and these controllers obviously have the ring in front so the cameras can more easily see the ring in front as opposed to the back with the original Rift controllers. And these controllers, like we talked about before, are really comfortable to hold. Has a trigger, the analog sticks are still here, all that stuff. Works perfectly with the games, keeps track of your hands really well. No issues with the controllers at all. I don't have any preference between the original Rift controllers and this one. I think they're both just as good. I don't have a preference either way. Holding it is a little bit differently in this one than what it used to be, but you get used to it in a couple of minutes and you're good to go. And they're really solid. These have been banged around a couple times already, and there's no scratches or anything on them from people hitting walls or by the ceiling by accident. But yeah, these are really solidly tracked controllers. As far as the operating system or anything like that, the OS itself, there's 50 launch titles that this thing is launching with. Obviously, majority of them are things that came from the Rift S over to this. Or the Rift S or the Rift, obviously. The library is the same on both of those. A lot of the games that they brought over here, obviously, standout games from over there, Beat Saber, Super Hot, all those games that have now been ported onto here. And color me shocked, the graphics in here are really, really impressive. Of course, the resolution's not going to be as good, and the texture quality isn't going to be as good as the Rift S, but it's good enough, and it looks really good. When I'm not home and I'm not able to play my Rift S and stuff like that on my computer, and I put this thing on, I'm not immediately sitting there being like, wow, these graphics are terrible. I can't believe I have to play with this thing right now. That is not what's happening at all. And a lot of what the trickery that they're using with this is basically forward rendering, where it basically is rendering the resolution where you're actually looking at full scale, but anything on the outskirts of your vision is rendered, blurry, basically at a lower resolution. And as soon as you move your head, it goes into full resolution on that side. So, and it's not really noticeable in most games, unless some games are worse than others, obviously. If you look for it, like when I looked at Dance Central and I purposely looked for it on purpose, I saw the little forward rendering when you move your head and you're looking for it on the outskirts. You could see like the forward rendering at work. But if you don't look for it and I just play games as normal, you're probably not even going to notice if you're not looking for it. And once you start playing the games, it instantly goes away, and I don't have any issues with it. Forward rendering is probably what needs to happen on mobile units for a while until they become even more powerful, and I'm perfectly fine with that. That happening for us to get higher quality games. Because if not, you want to take that out, then you're going to have lower graphics because they're going to have to render everything at scale. And I'll take higher quality graphics like this than having that small outskirt of a blurry vision that you probably won't even notice to begin with, unless if you're looking for it. So graphics are really impressive on here. Super Hot looks almost just as good. I couldn't even tell the difference 99% of the time than the Rift S version over there. Beat Saber, really, really close as well. Obviously, that's not a graphical game to begin with, but it's very, very close to what it is. There are a couple of small downgrades that they made with to particle effects and stuff like that, but it's really close. and it works flawlessly in there. They brought a lot of the high quality games over here, and I'm glad that they started off with 50 games or 50 experiences, majority of them being games, and this is obviously being geared towards gamers more than the Oculus Go was, which was obviously more a media device first and game second. This is the opposite. This is now a gaming device first and a media device second. And the games that have come out here out of the gate are really strong. The Star Wars experience that's on here, that's only $10, is a must play if you're a Star Wars fan. Seeing Darth Vader in front of you and all that stuff at scale is awesome experience. And I can't wait for more episodes of the Star Wars game to come out. And the graphics in that game look outstanding on that Star Wars game. And, they have the Star Wars game is one of their exclusive games. They have that Sports Scramble game that's also really solid. I did a review on it if you guys want to check it out on the channel, which is like the Wii Sports version, basically for VR, and it has multiplayer and all that stuff. That's a solid game. So they have a solid lineup with over 50 games that they launched with. Dance Central, another one. That's one of my standouts, which is also on the Rift S, so it's easier to compare back and forth because I saw the graphics. Obviously, resolution was substantially better on the Rift S. Maybe not substantially better, but better. And I played on here, and it definitely was lower, but I still had a ton of fun. It still looked really good. I didn't miss so much to say playing on the Rift S because of the graphics. I was just having a good-ass time with this thing. And the tracking was just as good, and it just worked flawlessly, and I'm having a ton of fun. I can't wait for more ports of this game. Pavlov is coming to this already. The dev is already working on it. There's actually a way to actually sideload it on here already and play that, and that is already looking like a really solid game that's being ported to the Quest. And I think if this thing sells as well as everyone thinks it's selling, because of all the people who are buying this, we're going to see droves of games coming on here. They're obviously curating the store more than they used to, but they want only solid titles on here, as opposed to just everything under the sun that used to go on the Oculus Go and the Rift, where early access titles and all that stuff used to go on here. They're treating this more like an Xbox type experience or PS4, where they want the App Store to be more curated than it used to be. And I think that's fine as long as they don't deny games for no reason. If the games are just running like garbage and they don't want to let them on the store, that makes sense to me, and that provides more of an experience for consumers. So we'll see how that goes and proceeds, obviously. And I'm hoping that games come out for this regularly. But I think that a lot of people are going to have a good, from the developer standpoint, it seems like a lot of them are having a pretty good time being able to actually port the games over from the Rift onto this thing. A lot of those games were able to be ported, even though they were rendered at low resolution, and that's awesome. Robo Recall on this thing, another one of the standouts, was an outstanding game on the Rift S that now got ported to this, and still looks so much better than I thought it would on here. So that's another one to check out. But enough about graphics. As you guys heard me, graphics on here are really, really good. A lot better than I expected, even though obviously not as good as the Rift that you're going to get on a computer, but that's obvious. But awesome device as far as the graphics go and what have we seen so far. And maybe it will get even better because people will get better at using the hardware, so you never know. Obviously, the audio solution on this device is obviously also built in, just like the Rift S, but this one on here obviously makes more sense to people because that's what the Oculus Go did as well, and it's not bad for the device on here, so having built-in headphones for that is fine. Obviously, it has a built-in headphone jack as well, and you can use any headphones you want, which is what I do. And if you're playing games like Beat Saber and stuff like that, you need to use your own headphones. You're not going to get the same amount of bass and clarity and volume, obviously, that you're going to get from real headphones, and Beat Saber is really fun with all that pumped up and just going at it in there. So, but the sound isn't bad, but it's not amazing, so don't expect it to be, but it's usable. What I will say about the sound before I forget is that the spatial surround sound that they do works really well with there, where it tells you, where it makes you feel like the sound is coming from behind you or in front of you, all that stuff. That's done really well. So guys, that is basically the review of the Rift S here. I mean, like I said, this is a must-have device for a fan of VR. $400 for this thing. It is literally going to be a game changer for VR, in my opinion. It's going to get it into more people's hands. The graphics are really good for what the system is. It's all running on a mobile GPU, and the features that this thing, obviously, something I forgot to mention, you can do Chromecast on this thing, so you can be playing a game on here, you can throw the game on Chromecast, so you can make it a social experience, so while you're playing, other people can watch what you're doing. Obviously, you can record videos on here for gameplay purposes and stuff like that. And it's just an outstanding device that they made here. The only thing I would mention that they add in the future that's been mentioned that hopefully they will is give us a 3DOF experience when we want to, so we can actually use this in the dark. If they just give us the option to actually be able to use these controllers in the dark when you don't want to actually play games but just watch media and stuff, we can make this also be almost like a Go at this point if they release all the software for that. So something to see if they actually do for us. But I really don't have a lot of complaints with this device. I mean, I'm having so much fun playing with this thing. I can think you guys, especially for people who have never played VR, they're going to be floored by this thing. If you've never had PC experience with a Rift or anything like that, and this is your first one, and being your hands tracked in there and all that stuff with the experiences on here, you're going to be completely floored, in my opinion. Everyone I showed who's never tried VR was completely floored by this thing. And they weren't asking questions like, oh, the graphics aren't as good as your PC. No, they're just having a grand time in there, having a whole lot of fun. Guys, that is the Oculus Quest. Go ahead and check this out. This thing is outstanding, and you can bring this thing anywhere now. Go play this in your backyard. Go when the sun is down. Play this in your house. Play this in your room. Anywhere you want to play it, it's going to be outstanding. And you know what? Something that we forgot to talk about that almost slipped my mind that is really important is the actual pass-through system. I can't believe I almost forgot to mention this thing. The pass-through system on this device is really cool because basically what it lets you do when you set this thing up to actually set your Guardian boundaries so you don't run into walls and stuff like that is you obviously go in there and you can see the outside world in like a stereoscopic view. It's hard to describe, but basically it's like a stereoscopic view. You see the outside world, and you basically take your controller and you just straight up draw your boundary. It takes 10 seconds, if that. You draw your square, any shape you want it to be. It doesn't have to be a square, rectangle, any weird shape you want to draw, and it does the boundaries for you, creates the boundaries, and you're ready to go. And it's so cool because then the pass-through system, if you were to peek out, if you were to step out of those boundaries because you want to talk to someone and you step out of the boundaries you created, instantly it goes into the pass-through mode. So you can actually see the real world and see people standing in front of you and have a conversation with them without actually taking the headset out. The only thing I wish they added is an actual button, which the Rift S does have, where you can just tap a button really quickly and you can instantly go into pass-through even if you're in your Guardian system and you want to see what the virtual world is showing, or the real world is showing. So hopefully that's something that they add as well. But the pass-through system is just an awesome way to set up the Guardian system. It makes it even better to set up and fast to set up your system like nothing has ever come before. So that's outstanding. Now we can wrap this review up, guys. Anything you guys have seen or anything I didn't mention and you have any questions about, I've obviously been testing this, and we're going to be having a lot of reviews coming out for this thing in the coming weeks. We've already had a bunch, and you can expect reviews going forward nonstop because I'm loving this device. I'm having a lot of fun creating videos for you guys. So if you guys have any questions about anything you guys seen, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.
Tech, gaming techie is the gaming tech, gaming techie, gaming tech. Eating brekkie is the gaming tech, going for a recce is the gaming tech, gaming techie is the gaming tech, gaming techie.